G'day legends, Shrek here at Noob Spearo HQ. Welcome back to the Noob Spearo podcast. It's interviews with spearfishing experts, authorities and characters from around the world. Today, it's back down my backyard with Tweed Heads in southern Queensland, northern New South Wales, chatting with Ray Powell from DiveR Australia. You can see a set of his DiveR fins in the background, as well as a brand new spear gun from Adreno, a full carbon monoblock, not too far off hitting the shelves. Pretty cool gun. But Ray, very, very clever man behind the brand DiveR. It's ubiquitous in the spearfishing world. These fins are in every country, every continent, and well used and well regarded by spearos from people all over the world. Today we chat all about the brand, how DiveR started. We talk about fins. We talk about some of the new sort of myths around shorter tendon sizes on fin foot pockets. We talk about a happy marriage between foot pockets and blades. We talk about the mechanics of the human body with regards to fins and getting the most out of them. Hope you enjoy the conversation. It's wide ranging because Ray has gone down many a rabbit hole, including Theravada. So we talk on all of these subjects and more. Stay tuned. Hey, I just wanted to do a massive shout out for all the people coming on Noob Spearo trips, charters and retreats this year. They're all full up so far. I may do a Stratty retreat at the back end of the year. If you are interested, go to spearfishingcourses.com.au and sign up there. I'm also about to drop a PNG charter. It's an intermediate charter with Tim McDonald, Tom Sandstrom joining me hopefully in May 2026. I am trying to basically just see how many people are up there interested. Join the waiting list at spearfishingcourses.com.au. Let's get into it. It's Ray Powell from DiveR Australia. Here we go. I've been looking forward to this one. Had to get to 301 to get here. Here we go. This episode of the Noob Spearo podcast is brought to you by Astard Pole Spears. Use the code Noob Spearo for free shipping anywhere in the world. At Astard, they honour the ocean, taking only what they need and leaving it as pristine as the armour have for generations. Check it out at astard.co. Equipped with a slip tip, stainless steel leader, dynamic cord for versatility and durability, made from absolute premium materials, no mucking around, 630 stainless steel, carbon fibre and titanium. Manufactured in Japan, assembled, hand-assembled in Australia and Japan, the Astard Roller Pole Spear delivers unmatched performance, combining functionality, durability and tradition. Get into it at astard.co, astard.co. Check it out. Pole spears to just die for. I've got to give you the hot tip. Check them out. Use the code Noob Spearo. Free shipping anywhere on the planet. Check them out. Are you US based? Looking for freediving, spearfishing gear? Neptonics is the best. Their online website, so easy to use. If you've got any questions, Jerry and the team answer questions via phone, email. Anyway, they've got an easy contact form on the site. These guys are absolute legends, and if they sell it, they believe in it, they back it, they use it themselves. It's tough gear that works. Visit neptonics.com. Use the code NOOB10 to save 10% on any order at neptonics.com. That's right, use the code NOOB10, N-O-O-B 10 on your next order. Save 10% at neptonics.com. Today's Noob Spearo podcast is brought to you in partnership with Adreno. Live it, breathe it with the world's largest dive store. Huge range of equipment, always growing, always changing. They are the world's largest dive store. They are available just about everywhere. They have hassle-free returns, massive range of equipment, price match guarantee, and you can check them out online. You can even use the code Noob Spearo to save $20 on every purchase over $200 at adreno.com.au. Check them out. Boom. Well, guys, welcome back to the Noob Spearo podcast. We're sitting here in the house of Bryson and Nikki, very generous to allow me to interview. Got Ray Powell from DiveR Fins. It's been a long time in the making. Ray, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I'm going to read off a bit of stuff. I don't normally do this, but you're so well known in the spearfishing community. It's hard not to get a few stories. I personally remember you because back in the day when I was starting, I drove up to 1770, a desperado, to try and get on someone's boat to get out and compete in a comp. I actually ended up trying to shore dive it, and I met you there, and you actually just gave me a shirt because you could see that I was just some frothing mad grom. And that the theme of generosity is something that everyone holds you to. You know, like everyone will say how generous you are as a person. What made you like that?
I got a lot from competition diving and stuff as a junior and stuff. A lot from my parents, but a lot from the people around me, and it kind of relied along people's generosity, you know. So I think it comes back to you in spades if you can look after people, and you know, for what it cost me personally for a t-shirt or a set of fins here or there, it's you know,
It comes
it's a good
back.
vibe, yeah.
It's planting seeds.
Yeah. Yeah, well, people remember you, especially if, you know, some young guy. I mean, we had a young guy who lost his fins down the coast, and he said, well, I said, what did you have? And he had little scuba doobery, little yellow things. And I said, oh, you know, I've got a spare set of fins here for you. I'll give him that. And then the next year later, he's there with his mum and dad. And his mum and dad come up and thanked me. And then 3 or 4 years later again, he actually bought his first set of fins off me.
Yeah, nice.
You know, but and then he passed the other ones down to his younger brother, you know. So, yeah, I think generosity, more people should be generous.
So DiveR, you founded DiveR. I want to chat a lot about your company because it stood the test of time. It's very well regarded all over the place. Your fins are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. But people in every country and continent own them. And the brand just has such a... when you hear the word brand, it sounds kind of wanky. But when I think of brand, it's maybe the feeling that it gives. And so many people hold DiveR in such high regard. So hopefully we can chat a bit about that. I listened to another podcast with you, and you touched on some stuff, and James gave me a little bit more information as well. You're a generational Spearo. So your parents were both Spearos. Now tell me a little bit about Neil and your mum, Lois.
Yeah, well, both my parents used to be in the spearfishing scene back in the 60s and stuff. Primarily the Kingfishers Club in Canterbury Bankstown. You know, I'm the eldest of 4 children.
Yeah, I heard.
So as soon as we were able to walk and swim, we were in rock pools and stuff, diving. Like it was normal weekend was to go and crawl around some headland somewhere. And as each of us got older, we got, you know, into the entrance of a lake or a river mouth or then the ocean, you know. Then I sort of joined the Reesby Workers Club, underwater club when I was 15 and then started the Taylor Shield competitions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
it was a lot of fun.
So your parents held comps in high regard, so they handed that on to you?
Yep.
Okay. When was the first comp you won? How old were you?
I won a few as a junior. I used to place fairly highly in the open stuff. I won the Far Southern Zone Championships as a junior.
Sick.
One of my favourite spots to dive at Montague Island down that way.
Yeah, righto.
But I like that far southern stuff in New South Wales. A lot of species, a lot of good diving.
I heard that's your favourite spot in the whole world to dive.
Pretty much, yeah.
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 Just because it's got that sense of nostalgia.
Yeah, you got deep stuff there, shallow stuff there. It always throws up interesting fish. You know?
Yeah, righto. Okay, cool. You told a story too. Someone died, and the boat came in, and the memory sounds pretty stark. You were talking about their blood coming out the back of a bunghole.
It was actually probably 3rd or 4th competition that I took part in, and was down off Barara Reefs near Sussex Inlet. North of Bendalong there. And the president of the dive club, I was in his boat as a junior. And we actually had George was in our boat, and he was the brother of the guy that passed away. And we seen a Ronson float floating on the surface, and we went over to check it out, and there was no one attached to it, basically. So we realised it was, Emmanuel's float. We started looking. We went straight to the shore first of all to see if he'd just climbed up on the rock somewhere. Nothing. And then we went back to where the gun was located and started doing a bit of a search. And his brother actually found him on the bottom.
Was it in deep water or?
40 feet. Back then, 40 feet was like a pretty good dive, you know, but
Yeah.
he could scrounge in 40 feet all day long, you know. A little bit of effort to get a dead body into a small boat,
100%.
especially when they're at dead weight. And, all attempts at sort of trying to revive him were, you know, to no end. And,
How old were you?
I was 15, nearly 16, I think.
How did that shape the way you thought and felt about spearfishing at that time?
Definitely added a sense of humility to it. You know, I knew you could die doing it, and you know, death wasn't something that was sort of unknown to me. The one memory I've got from it is when we arrived back at the boat ramp, and we had arranged to meet the ambulance sort of around the corner and away from everyone. It was like a beautiful Sunday and a lot of families out on the beach, and we didn't want a big like hoo-ha. And I remember jumping out of the boat and pulling the bungs out of the boat as you do when you got on the trailer, and all the blood come out, and we had like maybe half a dozen fish or something, but it wasn't blood out of the fish. It was, you know, where he was just bleeding out continually from the sinus rupture and stuff, you know. And I thought, no one here knows, you know, like, but it's a memory that's always sort of stuck with me.
That was the sense I got when I listened to you recount that story. And I worked in emergency services for a little while, and when I heard you tell that story, that came to mind immediately because it's a traumatic memory. Whether you, I don't know if you've acknowledged it as that, but it does carry, like it's something that's imprinted so deeply upon you. Like that's what that memory, and it sounds like it's something that you've thought about.
Yeah, I've thought about it a great deal, but you know, some of the stuff I've seen has been pretty traumatic, you know, throughout my lifetime. But you know, that event, it did give you. It put an aspect on it where, okay, you know, you can actually really die diving, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do still to this day, unfortunately.
Yeah. How do you, who's most at risk in the world of spearfishing? Like if you wanted to think about them as a cohort of people, who do you think are the people that are most at risk?
Highly motivated, self-achievers, people with little patience.
Yeah.
Ones with the zero to hero mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when guys talk to you like that, and you're selling them a set of fins, or maybe you're giving them something, do you ever talk with them about this stuff? I know you've done a lot of teaching and educating over the years. Have you ever developed an approach, a way of influencing these guys that you?
If I've identified someone, like, as I think they're going to be, you know, potentially crossing the line, I have a bit of a conversation with them and just tell them to take a step back and just to be aware and identify a few things, and you know, hopefully that makes a difference.
Some of those things you identified are maybe not what some people would think. They might think, people that are likely to die in spearfishing are probably less competent or less confident or, you know, less capable. But I kind of agree with you. They're normally the opposite. They're normally high achievers. They're normally high potential and highly competent. But maybe sometimes they're a little bit younger, or maybe their dive ability isn't matched by their wisdom and decision making. They lack
the grounding.
Yep.
Like there was one incident where quite a well-known identity, he had a blackout and fairly like what I consider shallow sort of conditions, like 22 metres of water is not 40 metres. It's pretty average for diving in southeast Queensland.
Yep.
And Mate, I'd say one thing that led to it was just the lack of experience being able to manage a fish when a reel gun got tangled up on the bottom.
Yeah.
Having that preservation of mind and just let everything go and just leave it. Come back another day or another time.
Yeah, it's just a kingfish.
And that's what it was too.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. And we had spoken to him too, like several people had, you know, that he was sort of like without mentioning any names, but that classic like sort of high achiever, good ability, quickly, you know, like, you know, pretty fit, but just lacked that experience that you're going to learn being a noob spearo, like in 4 meters of water, and you get tangled up in kelp with a spear gun or a hand spear or something, you know, like. Yeah, when you shortcut that process, you don't learn it quickly.
Yeah.
It takes years.
Yep. Yeah, no, cool. I might take us somewhere lighter for a bit because we've gone deep and heavy straight away. Tim had a couple of funny ones. One of the ones was he says, why do you always tell him that the water's dirty when there's 100 metres of viz off the Tweed?
Oh, they come down, they'll take all the juice.
He had another cheeky story. He said one day he was off a local area and he shot an 11 kilo jack, and then later that day he shot a 12 kilo one, and then he stopped by to see you on the way back, and you said to him, "Oh no, you shouldn't take two fish like that. They're too old, too slow growing. They're special fish. You should never take two like that." And then a week later, you were out the boat with him.
Okay.
And then you shot 2 10-kilo jacks yourself. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
Talk to me about the level of regard that you have for species like that, because they are slow growing. You're right.
Yeah, some special fish in some special places, and like I'm not big on the secret squirrel stuff. If someone asks me, "Oh, where do you get that fish?" I'll just tell them where it is. I won't give them like the exact GPS coordinates, but I'll say it was on 9 Mile Reef, or off the southeast corner of 9 Mile Reef, or whatever. Yeah. And as those fish, a lot of that good stuff does live in that, you know, bit deeper stuff. You know, there's only a handful of guys that can confidently dive it and extract them. If they get one, they're not going to go back and clean the place out of them, are they? They're going to take one or two, you know, every couple of months, or maybe just in a year even, you know.
Yeah. Or a couple of years.
Yeah, or a couple of years.
It's nice to have marks that you don't go to very often.
Yeah, these days with the new GPS stuff, I never had a GPS. It was all landmarks, you know, landmarks and a depth sounder, and you sort of know where to sort of put yourself in a boat to start a drift. And I still use that today, and people have got their phones out and stuff. I said, throw that away, it doesn't work here. You just got to go over there and hop in, and I get it right all the time. But a lot of people take me out because I'm like a human GPS out here. But there's no secrets anymore with relief shape and that type of stuff. But people find those little isolated spots, and it's not necessarily means that they're going to have fish. You know, there's some places that don't look that spectacular for whatever reason. They've got heaps of jobfish there, or fish like that area.
Yeah. James Sacker holds you in pretty high regard.
Yeah, I'll Sacker.
You dive with him a bit with your brother, who he calls the Big Rig.
Yep.
You guys that'd be a bloody chaotic boat, I reckon.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. He's a lot of fun, James.
Yeah. He'll dive in anything too. And when we did a lot of trips to NZ, they were good times, but and we dive down the coast here a lot for crays and that dirty shit, filthy water. That's the only time I enjoy diving in that dirty water these days.
Yeah, he did mention that. Yeah. He also mentioned, I think he said to ask you off camera if it would be all right to talk about, but there was maybe a really well-known cricketer story or something. I think I was supposed to ask you earlier on a New Zealand trip. Is that right?
Yeah, we've had a few different well-known people that we sort of look after.
He said, he had a couple of stories. I'm not going to give all of them away, but like you've guided a lot of trips as well.
Yeah, done a lot of guiding and stuff, but he.
You still doing it now?
Occasionally, yeah. Occasionally, yeah. What he was referring to is we had Glenn McGrath and his son for a few years.
Oh wow.
Mate really, humble person, but you can't sit at a pub with him anywhere, especially in New Zealand, without him getting recognised, So if you go to dinner with him, you'll get tapped on the shoulder or someone go, hey, is that Glenn McGrath, so, oh, yeah, and it's, oh, sorry, Glenn. Like, he's got to write sign the bit of paper, give that autograph or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Get a photo or a selfie or stuff. But him and his son, they're both really, good spearos.
Yeah, nice.
They love it, yeah.
I think James was saying he was getting a hard time for hunting at the time. That was why he didn't really want it well known.
There was something that went down over in Africa that caused him a bit of grief at the time.
Yeah, right. That public stigma can be a killer, like particularly if you're a public-facing
mate, especially with spearfishing, like the world over. And if you're a like a brand, as you say, these days, like social media is everywhere, and everyone relies upon it for their businesses to grow and to market. A lot of them don't like the word spear gun, or don't like seeing a spear gun or a speared fish. So
I think we've got to kind of go against it a little bit, don't we? We've got to push back. James mentioned you got done by an Irukandji as well.
Yeah, one of the worst moments of my life.
What happened?
I used to work commercially harvesting crayfish up the reef, up North Cape.
Painted?
Doing the big ornatus. And I was like 5 days into a swing at work, and usually used to work from, usually 18 metres, 25 metres, somewhere like that all day long. And it was fifth day in, and then I was on the bottom. It was a shit day, and just got a little zap on the face. It's hit me there and there. And it was like one of those things. It doesn't hurt. It's just like a irritation. Just purge it off at the rig.
Yeah.
Keep going. There was no craze on that on the drift I was on. And it was about lunchtime. Popped up to the dory and was going to change locations and go somewhere else. And there was another dory from our boat not far away, and they'd run out of fuel. So we zipped over to them, and I was transferring fuel across in jerry cans, and felt like my hands were on fire and my forearms were on fire, and like little pins and needles going up my arms. My fingertips were burning. I thought, oh shit, I've got the bends real bad, like I'm starting to get bent. So I jumped back into the lagoon, shot back down to 18 metres, and over the next like half an hour, 40 minutes, the pain was getting worse and worse and worse. And I thought, can't be good. I should be getting pain relief because I haven't worked any deeper than that.
Yeah.
And I come back up and ran back to the mothership, which was a fair way away, and basically collapsed on the deck as soon as I got there in a ball of pain.
Rugged.
But oxygen kept me alive, basically, and they had me packed in bags of frozen food in the wheelhouse of the boat.
Crazy.
And
so what's the symptoms from onset to...
Mate, you get stung, and it's just like not even a bad sting. It's nothing like a blue ball or anything.
Yeah.
You get a zap. Anything from half an hour to 2 hours later, you start to get the symptoms, and it's usually like a back pain that starts with, or a feeling of dread. You really do think you're going to die. The fitter you are, the harder you fall.
Right.
If you've got any cardiac problems or issues, you're basically dead. I was lucky because the ship next to us, the skipper was a mate of mine over from Broome, and they had the flying doctor kit on board, and he jumped over and he seen me. He goes, oh, because at that point everyone thought I still had decompression sickness bad, and he goes, mate, I reckon you've been stung. I reckon you've been whacked by Irukandji. But to that point, no one had been envenomated in that area.
Yeah.
There wasn't even no one there, And it was not something we were concerned with whatsoever. Guys used to dive, in a pair of board shorts, But I used up all the pethidine, all the morphine in that flying doctor kit, and they had the doctor on the sat phone all the time, and that was lunchtime.
Can you describe the rest of what was the pain like?
Mate, on
nerve pain?
Like nerve pain, uncontrolled convulsions, muscle spasms. It was like someone with a piece of Rio heating it up and jamming it through your knee, then through your foot, through your elbow, and then whacking you on the back of the head, ripping your stomach open. Like it would just travel around your body uncontrollably.
Crazy.
And
is it a neurotoxin? What is it? Do you know that?
Mate, it introduces a protein into your system that it cannot tolerate.
Wow.
And it affects the neurotransmission between muscle cells from cell to cell. Elevates your cardiac enzymes, go through the roof. You have heaps of little micro heart attacks. Not really a good thing. There's zero antidote for it. They do now know that if you get it early enough, you can get an infusion of magnesium sulfate, and that sort of helps reduce the cardiac symptoms.
Yeah, right.
But you still got to ride out the pain. So all they got really for it is pain management, nothing else.
Far out.
And it has a half-life. It sort of like wears off daily, half a day. I spent 3 days in ICU. Once they got me evacuated, which I was in the middle of nowhere, it was a big effort to get a chopper there. The chopper flew over from Weipa, took me to Horn Island in the Torres Straits. And that was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And they lifted me over the side of the boat on a crane, wrapped up in a single bed mattress, taped in with gaffer tape.
Crazy.
Took me over to the sand cay where the big ring of diesel was for the helicopter to land. And then I remember waking up, getting wheeled across the tarmac, and then I realised I was in Cairns, not Townsville. Because even at that stage, the paramedics thought, oh, well, from the dive history that week, it could be a really bad case of decompression sickness. They didn't know until they did the cardiac enzyme test that I was being envenomated at Irukandji.
Far out.
Yeah.
So did you go and backtrack and learn all about it after it had happened to you?
Yeah, I had every man and his dog coming to see me in hospital, people that were doing studies on them. And
you were one of the first?
At that time, the first one in that location, the first one to get stung like at depth.
Yeah.
Wasn't on the surface, wasn't coastal. I was way out on the reef. And, I learned a heap about them after that. Right. Unfortunately, one of the scientists that was studying them at the time, she came and interviewed me in hospital, and it was only like a couple of months later, she died from a sting in the lab.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, tragic. But it took me a few weeks to get over the original, getting stung, having all the drugs in your system that they give you in hospital, getting over it. Never got my fitness back.
Really?
I remember 3 weeks later, I went for a swim up Mossman Gorge, and I couldn't swim out to a rock in the middle of the creek.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what about now?
I never really got my peak fitness level back from that.
Oh, man.
Now I've got blood pressure issues.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe it was from that envenomation that sort of switched my blood pressure upside down, because it's never been right after that.
Yeah.
And they haven't got a cause or a reason for it they can pin down.
Because you've played around with a lot of different modalities of treatment. I think I've heard you talk about hyperbaric medicine.
Yep.
And you've played around with it.
I've been bent a few times, so...
Yeah. We'll get to that as well. You're a bit of a pioneer with that too, unfortunately, I think.
Happens.
Go to aqualite.com.au and get yourself a box of sachets. You just simply add them to water. It's less than $1.28 per serve. Cheaper and healthier than any other sports drinks on the market. Aqualite will make a difference in your spearfishing. Check it out at aqualite.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo to save 10% on any order. Check it out, Aqualite. Made in Western Australia. I tell you what, any of the Honky Outdoors shakers will see you right and add just that extra layer of subtle goodness to your brine. Salt-based, squealer, or double shot all work on smoked fish. Check them out at honkyoutdoors.com, HOHNKE outdoors.com. I love hot smoked fish. Honkyoutdoors.com have helped me to do it better, and I know it's going to up your brine game as well, and you're supporting an Australian-made family business that makes small batch spice rubs for people like you and me. Check it out at honkyoutdoors.com, HOHNKE outdoors.com. Use the code NoobSpearo to save 20%. Upgrade your seafood game with honkyoutdoors.com. Check it out. Another massive part of the Killshot Spear Guns family is depth charge charters. They don't just make functional and simple, reliable spear guns. These guys also bring amazing freedive spearfishing charters to the waters around the Florida Keys, particularly around the reefs of Isla Morada. If you are looking to do a freediving course or get out on a spearfishing charter in that part of the world, check it out at killshotspearguns.com and check out depth charge charters. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. So decompression sickness, it's called Terravana. Yeah. For people that aren't really familiar with it, like it's more associated with scuba diving, but can you give people a broad overview of decompression sickness as it pertains to what we do?
So decompression sickness, as it pertains to a free diver, is generally a CNS hit. It's usually central nervous system or, brain matter or somewhere in your nervous system.
Yep.
It's rarely, I've got a sore shoulder where you got a bubble jammed up, like it's a large bubble in a joint or something.
Is that embolism?
No, it's still decompression sickness where small bubbles form bigger bubbles and they get to a point where they can't really move through the tissue and they create pain, Yep. The scuba divers usually get, either sore shoulder, sore elbow,
Yeah.
sore leg, or a skin rash they can get too. Like,
Yep.
They can get CNS hits if it's a bad bend, but usually before that they've got some other type of symptoms, Whereas free diving, because our arteries and blood vessels are really dilated when we dive because we're running out of oxygen basically. The wall thickness is very, very thin.
Yep.
So bubbles and gas can get across from one side of the vessel into tissues where they shouldn't belong. And they haven't got enough time on our rapid ascent, which is fairly rapid, to get back out of that tissue and back into the bloodstream and get breathed out, which normally takes place. So, over many dives, up and down deeper water, you're getting a lot of little micro bubbles, building up on the wrong side of the tissue areas, getting out of arteries and blood vessels into the soft tissues and stuff, and they sort of stay there. They don't get enough time to dissipate and get out.
Yeah, right. And give me an example of a dive profile that is likely to, maybe a consistent dive profile over a period of time that would lead to or is likely to lead to decompression sickness.
Anything with a real short surface interval and a rapid ascent.
Yeah. So 10 meters?
You'd have to work really hard at doing it. It's really possible at 20 meters, though. You've got plenty of time in a day to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I do know people who have done it in 20 meters.
So by ineffective surface interval, what are we talking here?
A couple of minutes.
So we throw around the idea of tripling our. So if you spend a minute down, we're supposed to do 3 minutes on the surface.
Yep.
Is that enough?
Nah. If you're diving deeper stuff, you want more. You want at least 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're in 40 meters of water, you want at least 10 minutes on the surface.
Okay. And so the normal process of ventilation, of aspiration, that is enough to help degas?
It generally is. Also slowing down your ascent rate to the surface. I learnt afterwards that you got to work really hard at doing it too, because you want to come to the surface for air. If you can stop yourself at 10 meters and then halve the rate of ascent and go really slow and basically just as slow as you can go to the surface, it goes a long way to helping you.
Part of the problem with that would be we're probably pretty positively buoyant by then. If you're diving deep, you tend to be underweighted for that last atmospheric pressure.
Yeah, you got to be weighted a little bit differently to do it. And the first time I got bent, and I knew I was bent proper, I was out diving in 40 meters all day long, and which we used to do day in, day out. It was 35 degrees and I was freezing cold at night, and shivers and shakes and stuff. And I knew then that was the bad decompression sickness.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's a neurotransmission issue, mucking around with your senses?
Central nervous system.
Yeah, right.
Central nervous system hit, so I had bubbles somewhere in the back end of the brain there.
Yeah, okay. And so signalling gets mixed. Is that?
Yeah, I couldn't undo a lid off a drink bottle.
Yep.
I couldn't speak properly. Words that get blah, 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 blah. It's like you got a biscuit in your mouth.
Yeah. So guys that are doing this, so I've heard hydration plays into it as well.
Yep. Yeah, you got to be hydrated.
What did you change after you got bent the first time? You went away and did obviously a lot of research. What did you start changing to make sure that you did it less or not at all.
Did it less. Yeah, because did it less. I got bent again like a few years later on, and that one was pretty bad, and probably just been more aware of my like ascent rate and stuff,
Yep.
and obviously the number of dives we're doing in a day, but
So extending surface interval,
Yeah.
slowing down ascent, and how do you stay hot?
and not doing stuff backwards. Like, don't go jump in, 30 meters of water, then go jump in 50 meters of water. Don't work. You're better off going hitting 50 first, then go 30, then go 20
Yep.
throughout the day. So when I got it bad, my mistake was I thought, well, we'd actually made an agreement, my dive partner and I, with another couple of guys, and we were going to both go to this deep spot to fish. And we said, oh, look, you go out there first. We'll go in shallow first, and then we'll come out here lunchtime once these are done. So we started the day in 30 to 35 metres of water. Then we went out to a spot that was 40 to 55 metres of water. And if we'd done it the other way around, things might have been a little bit different. But
What?
20 days in a row, I reckon you just run out of time too. I think physically, your body just runs out of bottom time over many years. Like all those guys I know that are doing, and they're still diving the deep stuff, 40 plus. Every one of them's been bent.
Yeah. Yep. Short-term treatment.
In Australia, you're pushing shit uphill to get anything more than an RN62, which is a treatment profile they run, basically designed around reducing inflammation and the size of the bubbles that are left in your system and not burning through their staff that have got to attend you. If you're in Europe, the treatment protocol is a little bit different. I'm not sure what it's called, but they bounce you down to 45 metres, whereas here in Australia they 18 metres, 19 metres or something, 5.5 hours.
So are staff members inside the chamber with you for the?
Yeah, so here they have attendants inside the chamber,
Yeah.
and the problem they got here is their staffing. They burn through staff too quickly because obviously that staff member can't jump back in there the next day because they run the risk of getting decompression sickness, as well. So they would have got to look after their staff. So
Is that just an RN in with you, or is it a doctor?
yeah,
or?
registered nurse, hyperbaric nurse.
Yeah, hyperbaric nurse. Yeah, very specific form of medicine, eh?
Mate, really, they work on groundbreaking stuff. They use it a lot for wound healing and burns patients. Even stroke victims and stuff can benefit from it. There's so many things it can be used for, but unfortunately, they just don't have the staffing. They just don't have that staffing and that backup, and they haven't got half a dozen people that can jump in there, day after day.
What's involved in making a hyperbaric chamber?
I wouldn't have a clue,
Yeah, I don't either. I'd imagine there's a lot of cost involved.
mate. I've been in a few.
Yeah.
I reckon some of them a little bit odd, but yeah, others. I actually remember getting treatment in Athens. In one, I was actually sitting in there with burns patients, and I had to argue tooth and nail to get put in there because they didn't want to treat me. They go, oh, something goes wrong. I weren't going to do it, and they agreed to do it. And I remember just half an hour before it finished, it was just like this demon had left my body and I could think clearly again. Obviously
Wow.
the bubble had just gone. Yeah.
So, sounds like there's some correlations between Irukandji and decompression sickness.
Mate, there could be. It really affects your cardiac system being envenomated. But and some people are more susceptible to decompression sickness than other people. We used to run way over what the wreck diving tables were when we were drifting for crays.
Yeah.
We sort of had our own sort of tables that we run off of, and did our own sort of degassing and DK times at the end of the day, and O2 hang-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Were they effective?
Yeah, very effective.
Yeah.
I never got bent doing that.
Yeah.
Although I was involved with people that did get decompression sickness doing it. But
How do you stay hydrated? Because like water's not enough, is it?
Mate, I used to drink like Coca-Cola, Gatorades.
Yeah.
Yeah, like juices and stuff. Those little Petra Pak juices got a fair bit of sugar in them too, but they sort of help.
What about salts though? And
Mate, it's important to drink before you're thirsty when you're diving. Yeah. And even like keep up the nutrients and stuff. Get stuff into you that your body can burn quick and easy.
fatigue and sleep, does that play into it?
Yeah, you get used to it after a while, just like getting up. And we used to hit the water at like 10, 11 in the morning, get out at like 8, 9 at night.
Yeah.
And go have dinner at midnight. You know, like I'm talking over in Europe, they were diving the deep stuff in the med, but you'd go all day, yeah. Different to diving here. Here, I hate getting up early to dive.
Yeah.
Over that. I'd rather just rip out in the afternoon, quick couple of hours, get a few fish, come home.
I know you've spent a big part of your life diving deep and doing some of this hairier stuff. Word like you've gone diving with the only way you can dive like that is with a team of people like that do what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, yes and no. You've got to be able to do it by yourself, and if you don't do it the right way, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So the only ones that are doing it are the ones that have done it the right way. They're the ones that have survived.
Because in Mediterranean, it's still not a very high percentage of people, but there are a group of people that do it quite regularly.
Yep.
Well, how do I phrase this? Like, there's guys here that are trying to learn what they do and do it here. What is your advice to them?
You're 100% alone in the ocean, even if you're with someone. Even if it's your best fucking dive partner ever, you're still alone.
Yep.
They're not inside your head. They don't know what you're feeling. They don't know what you're thinking. But a good dive partner might be able to predict some of that stuff. But, still you're by yourself, so you got to look after yourself. You got to make sure that you're focused enough to know what the limit is that you've set yourself, and like have a mental, conscious red line that you don't pass.
Okay.
Like if I was diving when I was doing that deeper stuff, if I was in 40 meters of water and I had a Dentex coming in on me, I'd be counting in my head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'd be leaving the bottom if it was coming or not.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd get him on the next dive, if it wasn't there in 10 seconds. But you had to be focused enough to maintain that.
Those fish seem like they have a particular appeal. I think just the difficulty level.
Yeah, they suck people in.
Yeah, yeah. They seem like a fish that's drowned a lot of Spearos.
Yep, they have. Yep.
Yeah. What's your best Dentex?
Got a few photos one there. I got one 9 and a bit kilos.
That's huge.
Yeah, I used to shoot a few of them.
Far out.
I've seen some massive monsters, one spot, like 15 kilo plus fish. But actually that one of the smaller ones nearly ended me. I got one that was like 5 kilos or 5.5 kilos or something, and I shot it, and where I shot it, it shot down a little bit deeper and went into this ledge. And then I come up, and I used to have a watch that I borrowed. I never used to dive with a watch, but the guy I was sort of diving with at the time, he goes, mate, look, take me watch here, and like this, set the depth alarm at like 45 metres, so in case you go deep and you're just unaware of the depth.
Yeah, yeah.
I was because he knew the area I was diving. It was very easy to do. It was essentially just a big vertical wall, had a bit of a few steps in it. You could see the sand in 80 metres. And anyway, I was probably like 40 metres, 40-something, 42 metres. I shot this thing, and it went down a little bit deeper and into the hole. So I come up the top, and I had another breathe up, and really shot down, and I was trying to get it out of the hole, and the spear was fishing line and stuff tapped around it, around the tail end of the shaft. I thought, what are you doing, you idiot? Just left me belt, come up, went back, had the afternoon, went to see the guy in the dive centre, said, oh, look, I've got this fish, it's like stuck, it's in this hole. But can I borrow a tank and we'll drive around there and we'll get him out, we'll have it for dinner. And he said, yeah, he agreed. So he took me around after work that evening, and I just did a bounce dive down on a tank to get it out. It was in 48 metres. The watch, I couldn't hear the stupid watch, And but luckily I had enough preservation of mind to realise what I was doing. I was an idiot. Just leave the belt, come to the surface.
Yeah.
If I had one more dive, I might not be here.
Yeah.
And it happened to one of my really good mates over there, like the following year, actually, after that. And he, one of my close friends went over there. He was diving there for a couple of weeks, and then no one could find him. They couldn't find him. He was missing, and he, all the hoo-ha back here, and then had to ring his old man, tell him what had happened, and there was no body. And then 7 weeks later, Giannis rings me from over. He goes, "Oh, Ray, I found your mate, like where you said he'd like in that area, like they had the Navy looking for him and everything, couldn't find him." Giannis found him. He goes, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Well, can't really leave him there, can you? Like you got to go call whoever you got to call and reclaim, get the body off the bottom."
Wow.
And he was there asleep on the bottom, 42 metres, spear gun in his hand, perfect little ambush place where you'd lay. He just, went to sleep on the bottom in that spot.
Far out.
You don't always black out near the surface.
No. Yeah.
Most of the guys that black out in deep, it's on the bottom.
And it's hypoxia?
Mate, you're just in that, to dive that stuff, you've got to be really close to the line. You're in that dream state where your body just, you're happy to stay there.
Yeah.
Mate, dozens of times I thought, I'll just stay here.
It's probably a little bit like I'm relating it to like guys in the cold, like they just want to fall asleep.
Yep. That's one of the, one trick that I use to be able to dive that deeper water. Usually there's a big thermocline somewhere. It's not the same temperature all the way through. When you hit that colder stuff, you just fall asleep.
Far out.
Slows you right down.
I don't think, I think most people never have to worry about it. Like the deep spearfishing has an appeal, but it's just definitely not accessible for most people. And I think most of us probably aren't equipped to do it, like in terms of temperamentally, physiologically, all of it.
Yeah, there was a famous statement by one of the older famous spearos in Europe. He said, "There's two types of spearfishing, the deep and the other."
Yeah, there's a level of. I think you touched on it too, like earlier. There's people that try to tell others about the zero to hero type spearing, and the deep stuff has an appeal, but it's just like, I don't know, it takes maybe decades or a long, long time to be able to.
It takes decades to get there. It takes a lifetime to get there. And, if you do, a couple of things wrong or one thing wrong, you either wind up not here, or best case scenario, you have, decompression sickness. I had to take like a very conscious step backwards. So I got more into, the enjoyment of diving, where it all started for me, like in rock pools, shallow water, being smarter about where the fish are. Like you can dive the same area as a guy that's, has really good abilities, but if you've got better fish sense, you'll come out of that water with fish every time. And, I see it time and time again, guys will go out diving and, they'll have like 2 or 3 fish. They go, "Where'd you get that from?" I said, "Oh, it's just over here." Like, "How'd you know that fish was there?" I said, comes with experience.
Yeah. I like how that you made an effort to rediscover the joy, like the frothy part of it.
And when I started doing, when I realised there was a need for like education, people wanted to know like the how and why. I started to do a bit of coaching with those ADV advanced diving workshops. It was designed around improving the enjoyment of that diver's experience. And everything else, the breath hold and the depth and stuff just comes naturally along behind it. If you improve a few things, it might be, the gear the equipment might be crap, like you might be breathing the wrong way. There's a whole heap of things. And if you start ticking them off one by one, make small improvements, but you go ahead leaps and bounds quickly,
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I feel like it's just the wrong focus point. Like
most freediving courses, it's all goalpost oriented, level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, X amount of breath hold, X amount of meters underwater. Mate, I don't know of any that's designed totally around just improving your enjoyment and your ability,
Yeah.
and then let everything happen, naturally.
Yeah, I mean, when I teach a course, I teach a level 1, but the requirements are kind of superfluous. Like I tell them, like they're like, "Oh, how deep do we have to go?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." They're like,
Yep.
"They're like, oh, how long do I have to do for the static?" And I literally don't even tell them how long they're doing it. When I'm tapping them on the shoulder and all that sort of stuff, I say, all you're doing is learning how to listen to your body, be relaxed, and have fun. All of the numbers and stuff will just come, like,
Yep.
and then they're amazed at what they've done. And I say, that's good, but don't make this the focus, because it's not our focus. Like, yeah, so I'm trying to do it with what I do. But I teach a level 1 because I think it gives enough of the fundamentals.
Yep.
But then I'm not interested in teaching a level 2 to Spearos.
Yep.
There is a point where there's a lot of skills that we can learn from freediving. Like, you can always work on like streamlining and all these other fine skills. And you probably taught a lot of them yourself. But yeah, there's also that responsibility, I think, when you're teaching guys how to do it. Like, you got to curb that ambition a little bit. But it's hard.
Mate, I used to get 1 out of every 10.
Yeah, you said.
On average, 1 out of every 10. And out of 10 people, at least 6 would sink if you told them to put their hands up and breathe out and stop kicking. That was normal.
Yep.
Like normal.
Negatively buoyant.
Yeah, normal.
They've all weighted themselves to dive in 5 meters. And they don't.
Or like just heaps too much weight in general.
Because it feels good going down.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So, like, are you still running courses?
Nah, hadn't got the time, and I ran out of not motivation, but just the business just took up time. I was flying around like a blue ass fly from one side of the country, New Zealand, WA, here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
I just needed time. I still haven't got time enough now to dive.
Yeah.
I got to try to make it.
I always thought you were pretty chill, given how big DiveR is. Like you're relaxed to talk to. You never seem like stressed.
Probably why I got blood pressure issues. Probably
What do you do for blood pressure then, apart from medication?
Try to get in the water.
Yeah.
Problem is, they've tried heaps of different medications. None of it sort of really works.
Yeah.
Works for a short while, then doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, heaps of different cardiologist has done heaps of tests and stuff on me. I'm like a anomaly.
Neurodivergence? Are you neurodivergent?
Don't know.
Never done any tests? Not interested in it?
Yeah.
I always find most of us have got something. Like,
I'm weird. No,
yeah, me too. Me too. Are there any Spearos that aren't?
Nah.
Does decompression sickness, diving deep over a long period of time, do you think it plays into neurodivergence?
Mate, definitely. I'd say you get a different perspective on things. I went and had spent a day with there was a doctor around called Robert Wong, and he initially was one of the guys. He did the drift tables and stuff for Paley for the A2DKs, but he was a world authority on Taravana syndrome. He wrote a few papers on it and spent a lot of time out in Tahiti and that with the divers. And I flew over to WA to have a day in that with him. And straight away, all the other sort of hyperbaric specialists said, "I just don't dive anymore."
As if it's an option.
As if it's an option. He was like, "Well, when it happens again."
So you like them straight away.
Yeah, when it happens again, blah blah blah. You know what you got to do, and so I thought, well, then it's time to take a step backwards. But I learned a lot. Yeah, there's a lot goes on in my brain.
Yeehaw! Welcome to Depth Charge Charters. It's not just functional and simple spear guns that you can rely on from Killshot. It's Depth Charge Charters as well, part of the Killshot family. These guys go out of their way to ensure you have a great time on the water. They focus in and around freedive spearfishing, but you can go lobster fishing, line diving on a freediving. You can do freediving classes and lessons, even up your spearing game with legendary instructions. Check it out at killshotspearguns.com, based out of Isla Morada in the Florida Keys.
There's that old chestnut, never drink coffee before going diving.
I don't know about you, but I break the rule every time. And once you've had a dog and gun coffee, you might find it hard not to break that rule as well. Dog and gun coffee are specialty beans sourced from the best coffee growing regions from around the world and roasted by proper coffee nerds intent on fueling outdoor nuts like you and me. If you want to give Dog and Gun coffee a crack, I can personally recommend the preloaded drip filters. Open them up, they sit on top of your coffee cup, add boiling water, and then whatever else you like. For me, it's milk and two. Try them at dogandguncoffee.com.au and use the code NOOB10 to save 10%. That's right, use the code NOOB10 to save 10% at dogandguncoffee.com.au. Check it out, legends. This podcast is brought to you by aqualite.com.au. This is the best solution, bar none, for staying hydrated in the ocean. If you're a Spearo, it's an absolute no-brainer. It's a game changer. If you're doing extended trips and the cramp starts to set in and the old body's telling you, hey, that's enough, just get hydrated and it will save you a whole heap of woe. Check it out at aqualite.com.au. Use the code NoobSpearo to save 10%. How do you dive now?
Conservatively, no deeper than what I got to. That's why you cruise along and take a fish here or there. Or
do you enjoy spearfishing now as much as you did when you started?
Tough question. Yeah, I do when I get into it.
Yeah.
It's hard to get motivated to get into that dirty water and stuff. But I mean, like we did a comp last year was Eden Three-Way and it's coming up again too on the June long weekend.
That sounds like a wicked
Mate,
comp.
I spent like half the day off some headland in real rough, dirty, crap water. Just loved it.
Yeah.
Started smacking bloody black drummers and leather jackets and salmon and stuff.
That's fun.
But it's it's enjoyable when you get into it.
I want to talk about DiveR. Like, it's such a cool company, like I sort of said earlier. I did get asked to ask you about the first logo.
Yeah, the mermaid.
Yeah.
Still the logo. It's still DiveR's like, sort of like trademark is the topless mermaid. And always liked mermaids.
From Splash?
Yeah, it was like
earlier.
Yeah, it was like my wife at the time, she was like, pretty glamorous and
Yeah, right. Okay. That was it?
Yeah.
I thought there was more to the story.
Nah, no more to the story. Mermaids are cool.
Cool. Your nephew Kook Spearo mentioned a funny story where you took your mum to Mexico or something.
Yeah, little Martin. But I took Mum over to Mexico a couple of times actually.
Okay.
The Palapas side and then off the Pacific coast. And how old was she? 72 or 70? She was 72, I think, when we went last time. And she come out with us out to the Titus Banks.
Yeah.
It's off like Mag Bay, and we're staying out on some island. And
this is with Tim Hatler and that?
Yeah, with Tim Hatler and Pete Carell and the whole crew. We're doing like a bit of a recce trip, and it was all day driving to get up there, then all night driving with a dolphin torch out this old rusted out truck up some beach where you were going to die if you run out of fuel. We found that out on the way out. And we slept in a box on top of a hill, literally a box, like a 10 by 10 little box.
Yeah, right.
And if you woke up, you went 1 metre from the front door and down the cliff face into the drink.
Far
We
out.
got there, nothing was organised. There was no water. There was no showers or anything like that. There was a little lobster fishing camp around down the hill in the mangroves where we actually got some water from. We had 6 Powerades. There was a boat there, of course, like this Panger. And we were going out to the Thetis Banks. It was like, I think, about a 24-mile run from there, nautical miles out at sea. And Mum come and we're cruising out just with a handheld, like, little GPS thing. The fuel was just with plastic bags over the top of like a little plastic drum with rubber bands. You shove the hose through the top to get the fuel out. We did have a sat phone. I don't know if it worked, though. But we're about like halfway out, and I said, "Don't hold this against me, Mum." She goes, "I won't hold it against you as long as we get back alive." And we got out there, and the place was just alive. 90 feet to the shallow top bit of it, and there was just 40-foot whale sharks swimming around, and tons of wahoo, massive dolphin fish.
Wow.
Yeah, I still remember Mum I laid the spear gun for her, and she had a shot at this big wahoo and it fell like 6 inches short. She was spewing.
Clean water.
Yeah, she's probably like the oldest woman to actually dive out there.
Wow.
Massive, big oceanic hammerhead sharks, like 16 foot long, huge, big 1 metre plus fins and stuff on them. It was wild.
So your mum still loved it?
Yeah, she loved it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it got back into shore that day, and then a couple of days later we left and drove along the beach in the daylight, and we realised like all these rusted shells of cars and stuff that hadn't made it. We seen one coyote, and that was it. That was just nothing, mate.
Right.
Whale bones sticking out of the ground.
What's the Palapa setup like? You like going over there?
Really good. I was there when he first kicked it off, and did a few years back to back. We'd go over every year, and
You do the comp?
yeah, I've done the comp. I'm actually thinking about doing it this year.
Yeah.
Going back over. It's a great place to dive. It's under a lot of pressure now, though, like a lot of pressure over the Sea of Cortez. The fish that used to be there, they're still there. They're not as plentiful, a lot of them, just under too much pressure. Commercial fishing and, recreational stuff.
Okay.
But it's a great place to dive, man. There's some serious life there. Heaps of sea lions and those mobula rays and good caberas and the giant rooster fish and stuff.
It looks cool. I've had him on the show before with his good mate. They're funny guys. And it seems like a cool place. James talks highly of it too.
Yeah.
He probably did a trip with you there.
Yeah, he's been over there. But
He had some running around nude stories and stuff. I think.
yeah.
Just mayhem.
It's a wild place.
Yeah. You did a lot of commercial diving. Trocus, sea slugs, aquarium fish.
Yep.
You've kind of done the whole gamut.
Yeah, the only thing I haven't done is drift dive and pearl shells.
Okay.
Yeah, never got over that side. I stayed over this side and up through the straits and coral sea stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
For young guys like and girls that are loving their spearing, like, do you think it's a good way for them to get in the water more? Or
Mate, fantastic job if you can get one. Probably the best job I ever had was collecting aquarium fish.
yeah,
Just so enjoyable. And you learn so much about the habits of fish. Like every fish is different. They've all got personalities. They all behave differently, and right from the smallest thing up to the biggest thing. But yeah, you learn a lot.
where did you do most of your aquarium fish stuff?
Out of Cairns.
Yep.
Yeah, out of Cairns. Pretty much swam from one end of the barrier reef to the other end.
Wow.
Any little reef that you could actually like collect something from, I've probably been there and swam down the hard line.
Far out.
Back in, yeah.
Now, that hardline's sensational. Like, it's a beautiful place.
Mate, early days doing sea cucumbers up there was just like when you're diving teat fish, that was that first 100 metres from the hard line across the top of the reef, really. So you'd start at one end and drift your way down across, in and out, in and out, in and out from one end to the other.
Wow.
A lot of life. So a lot of, big tigers, big turtles, all different things. Yeah.
Anyway, back to DiveR. I sort of skimmed over it. You've been making fins for how long?
25 years now.
25 years.
Too long.
Yeah. That, and like I said, I mentioned in the start, like, they're everywhere.
Yep.
And I talked with you about it on the phone, and you can tell you've just thought about this stuff a lot more than I have. But I wanted to talk to you about the 30-degree angle.
Yep.
Walk me through what everyone else is doing and why you do what you do.
Well, when I started, most fins were like essentially flat or a very limited, like a couple of degree angle on them. And, I just looked at my leg and where my foot points and imagined myself floating on the water and then seeing this fin that was poking down into the water column and not laying flat with the surface. And I thought that's not really ergonomic, So I just worked it out and straightened my leg out, pointed my foot and said, it's, about 30 degrees and made up a template and ran one. So much easier to swim with. It wasn't funny. I thought this is like groundbreaking idea. And
well, it is.
Yeah, I started to run it. It changed everything. Now a lot of the brands have got like a 30-degree angle
they're
or a large angle, yeah.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah. Most of the good ones anyway.
Yeah. Well, you adapt or die, don't you? You have to learn from each other to a point. But it sounds like you've had an influence on that. The other things I was talking with you about were foot pockets, like the new foot pockets. Everyone likes these short tendons. And you told me like you don't like them because it's an ineffective energy transfer. Is that right?
Yeah, they sort of like focus the energy and the load in one point. either on you or on the fin blade itself. Like the fin's got to work like your leg does with muscles and tendons. It just doesn't, go from bone to muscle or tendon. Stops in one spot. They're spread out and tapered, and they're like that for a reason, to transfer load. And those shorter pockets, they just come from the Europeans with little skinny legs wanting the blade to work more. Instead of making like a softer blade that bends the right way, they decided they'll trim down the foot pocket so they can, one, make them lighter and get the blade to being closer to the toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does seem to be overemphasized, the making a fin too light. Because I can understand, you don't want heavy like fins, but then some of the European stuff, it feels like you're wearing a bit of paper. And I don't like, I'm a bigger guy, you're a bigger guy. Like I don't get any, I don't feel like I get any energy transfer. You do move, but like I don't feel like if I put them under load, they're going to make me move at all.
You sacrifice that first 7 to 8 metres on the descent and the first 10 or 12 metres on the ascent.
Yeah, right.
With a softer set of fins. But once you're moving, it's generally easier on your legs to move.
Yeah.
So the theory is that you burn less oxygen, less fuel to move them. But I think there's a point where it's become sort of null and void,
Yeah.
You're not diving in here in Australia anyway. You're not diving in a perfect environment where no current, and
Yeah.
the water is a little bit different to dive in Europe. In the Mediterranean, the water feels different. You move differently through it. It's got a different density to the water here. And you're dealing with thermoclines there, different water temperatures. You very rarely get strong currents, or you've got the option to go the flat side of the island or the rough side of the island generally,
Density is an interesting topic. Particularly, it affects everything, and I don't think it's really thought about a lot as you move from one water body to another, and one temperature range to another, and one level of salinity to another.
No.
And like spear gun mechanics are different. Fin properties are obviously different. You've thought a lot about this, the thermodynamics and all of that comes into it. Broadly, can you give me some ideas about how it affects finning?
It does depend on what foot pocket you got. Like some foot pockets will go quite hard in really cold water. Others won't. They stay very flexible and supple. With what you wear too, like your wetsuit and stuff, depending on what type of wetsuit it is, you can get away with like less weight or more weight, or move more efficiently through the water or less efficiently through the water. Get colder, stay warmer.
Do you wear open cell outside? What do they call them? Like
I like I wear a smooth skin suit.
Yeah, smooth skin. Yeah.
Smooth the outside. I run the 4008 Super Stretch Lycra on the inside because I hate getting them wet before I put them on. But you're toasty warm in a boat. You get zero wind chill through them.
Are they your own suits?
I got a guy who does suits for me.
Yeah. And what neoprene are you using?
Shaco.
Oh, yeah. Petroleum or limestone base?
The old petroleum based stuff, but I got the lining on the inside. So guys do get allergic to if you wear them with open cell stuff. If you're in them long days, like you're a commercial guy, I got a few friends that can't wear them without the lining.
Yep.
But I've always preferred them with the lining inside. This is more of a comfort factor, and I don't want to end up allergic to a wetsuit.
I've had a few discussions with people. Like I've got sensitive skin in general. It's one of I don't like open cell suits against my skin either. I prefer a lined suit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mate, 4008 Super Stretch stuff, you can't get better than it. It's like slippery. You put it on, just as comfortable, just as warm.
Yep. Yeah, and minimal, because I mean, obviously, the logic of the open cell is it's closer to your skin.
Yeah. I haven't noticed a difference.
Yeah, right. The other thing I asked you about on the phone was the rails that you can put down blades, and you said they do channel order effectively, but with a fin you want. I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, so if you're spearfishing and you want to style left to right, the big thick water rails are a bit of a hindrance on the fin. But the flip side is if you are running fins and you've got those little cut down short side pockets, they're a little bit unstable, and the blade will shimmer like up and down, left to right, and you need sort of something to stabilise them, and those larger T-rails do help stabilise it.
Yeah.
Work great if you're a free diver. You're driving up and down a line essentially, and not crawling around through holes, turning left, right, upside down, all over the place. So.
Yeah. Cool. And another thing you've tried, maybe unsuccessfully, to launch is shorter blade fins. They have not taken off like
I don't
you
know
like.
what's going on. Look, the better DiveR are the shorter ones. They're an 800 length blade. They're still big by other fin standards, but our standard ones are 900. And I guarantee if I made them a metre, everyone will want 1 metre ones. You know, like it's only really the commercial guys and the people that know use the shorter ones.
What about for me? Like I'm 6'3". Would you still say?
Yeah, go the short ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
They got just as much blade moves the water as what the longer ones, and you're saving like 100 mil. They're just a bit more manoeuvrable. It just works that way because all the progressive tapering of the material in the blade works closer to the toe. They're set up differently. They're tapered differently to the longer ones.
Okay. I might try that next time. And the other thing I would talk to you about was the width of the fins.
Yep.
I like them slightly narrower than your ones, I think.
Yeah, look, when we first kicked them off, I wanted to not have material wastage, so I made them sort of fit into a 50-inch wide piece of carbon so I could cut like 3 pairs out of it.
Yeah.
That's where that would come from. Originally, they were a little bit wider.
Yeah, nice.
And I found them a little bit too wide for me. I'd touch, so I trimmed a bit off until I got where I could swim. And but we do ones that are narrower on order, like some girls and stuff that have got a narrower stance. They want like a shorter, narrower blade. So
Yeah.
we customise them. Ours run at about 210 mil wide with the edge trim on them.
Okay.
We go down to like 180 mil wide.
Okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, so like you've learned so much in 25 years. Like you've experimented with materials. Like James said, you've got a mind for innovation. He says, like, we're seeing a product straight on. You're standing at 90 degrees and looking at the same set of variables.
Yeah, always looking at something different, something new, something like there's stuff I've got there that's, maybe if I'm still here in 2, 3, 5 years, whatever, will come to fruition. But there's a lot of really good materials you can make fins out of, reinforcement wise, and every little thing makes a bit of a difference. How the fin's constructed, what goes into the fibre portion of the fin, like orientation wise and quality wise and material wise,
Mm-hmm. And then how many people you got working for you?
There's half a dozen there at the moment, 6.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
pumping them out behind an orders as usual.
Yeah, that's just crazy. They become like a fashion item, really.
Yeah.
We were the first to put nice artwork and designs and stuff, so it captured a greater audience.
Yeah.
And especially for the girls, they love something that looks good. It doesn't have to be black.
Yeah,
or grey. Like.
I went out on a boat with Tim and my mate Tom, and all of us had black fins last time. It was actually a pain in the ass because you're trying to work out whose is whose. But I think we're, as blokes, sometimes we're a little bit, you lack that imagination. The first set of fins I bought, decent fins, like were some fiberglass fins of yours. They were hard. I bought secondhand from a bloke up north. I get annoyed with the distinction with fins in terms of like soft, medium, hard. I feel like, and you must have thought about this too. Why do we think about this so simplistically? Why isn't there a greater nuanced scale?
Everyone measures stuff differently. I have got one. I plan to implement it for many years now, and I haven't yet. As bringing in a standard way to measure the stiffness of a fin. Some brands might have hardness 1, 2, 3 because they don't like the word soft.
Yeah.
For example, soft, medium, and hard, they can be matched to a person's body weight. But then again, depends what type of diving you're doing as well. Like,
yeah.
You can be a big person and just want to swim around the surface. You just need a really light, soft, easy to swim fin, or you might have a bad knee or, back, or you might be, young, thin, skinny person that just wants, to go from A to B as fast as you can, no matter what,
So you want a more rigid fin?
More rigid fin. You're not really doing a great, day swimming. But, everyone measures them differently. One way is to work out how much weight it takes to deflect the blade 90 degrees to itself. And so you keep adding weights to the tip to make it bend 90 degrees. And
Oh, okay.
if it takes 1 kilo of weight, it's 1 kilo. If it takes 2 kilos of weight, it's 2 kilo.
Yeah, well, the distinctions gets lost too with how the carbon's layered or the material's layered, because you know that it might be super thin on the end, but then it might be really thick close to the foot pocket too. So
Yeah, materials too work completely different.
Yeah.
We've got two different models of a Negra fin. They're both a Negra fins. The only difference is the finishing surface on both are different.
okay,
One's got a little bit more tempering to it than the other. So one feels closer to a set of carbon fins. The V2s, they're closer to a set of carbon fins response-wise and feel-wise.
yeah, okay,
And the original Negras, they're more fluid, they're easier to use, more of a relaxed action. They're closer to like a composite fin, a soft composite fin in how they move, but you get the
okay.
response and weight saving of a carbon fin.
You done any testing in the pool with them?
Mate,
So much. Yeah, right.
So much.
I've seen guys like on
So much.
on forums try to like write out their bro formulas with all this stuff.
Yep.
Some of the inability to test and measure the stuff, like it requires a quite a scientific mind, I think, to be able to even make and design tests that will accurately give you the information.
And everyone's different too.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. Like I had the one of the unis do a thing on the shape of the end of the blade, the tails,
Yep.
the tip of the blade. My idea of that rounded tip was, most real fast fish have got like a V-shaped tail.
Yeah.
Like we're not fast fish, we're slow slug fish, like like a mulloway or a groper, and they've all got rounded tails.
Yeah. Okay.
He does leave less disturbance at lower speeds, which is what we like low speed, So,
Clever.
Yeah.
There you go. There's that innovation coming into it.
Yeah, and there was quite a well-known old-time spearo from the US, Bernard Finnerty. He held a few Blue Water World records back in the day, and he was a career physiology guy. So he did a whole heap of tests on him for me from a physiology perspective, like how it works with your muscles and your legs to be more efficient or less efficient. Yeah. So there was heaps of cool stuff done with that, and he sent me stuff, and he goes, I don't know how you've done it, but it's like a natural extension. It's like another joint of your body, from your leg to your knee to your ankle to the fin to the toe to the blade.
Yeah. And the other thing we haven't touched on is foot pockets. Like you had your own, but they're as important as the blades. And a lot of people don't realize, they just sort of they don't realize that that's where all the energy transfer comes from. And if you haven't got that part right, it doesn't matter how good the blade is.
If you haven't got the right fit and you're using not the best pocket, there's a lot of foot pockets that work, and there's some that are better than others. And some people like a firmer, harder foot pocket, and some people like something soft like a sock. I like the immersion style pockets. They were ones we had the DiveR branding on for a while. They're produced over in Dessiage in the middle of France. They're still in the market today, immersion.
Yeah.
You don't see much of it in Australia though. But
Yeah, right.
they were world leaders at injection plastics and moulding, decades ago before anyone else.
What are you fitting now most of the time?
Most of the time now we use the Ocean Hunter. It's a generic brand pocket. Ocean Hunter branded here in Australia. It's the same foot pocket a lot of the brands use.
Yep.
It fits, 99% of people, gets a good life out of it. They're not hard. They're firm enough to do the job.
Yep.
They could be a better fit on some people's feet.
Yep.
They're not ergonomically designed for a foot like some other models of foot pockets are.
Yep.
But they tend to do the job.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, and DiveR.com, if people want to check stuff out.
Yeah, DiveR Australia or DiveR Fins, or just put in the word DiveR Fins, you'll find us. www.diveraustralia.com.
I'll link all that up. If guys go to noobspiro.com/DiveR, I'll link up anything today.
You'll find us anywhere.
Yeah.
another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is you got a good eye for camo. Like Sam, my mate Sam, the waterman. Yeah. He's sporting a pair of your boardies, and I really like him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I mean, Spearo's in fashion. I mean, it's not synonymous, you know. But I like wearing cool stuff, and I like your boardies. I think they're cool.
Mate, we're trying to add to the line without having to make stuff. So our print guy does the graphics for us. Pinned him down to run some board shorts for us as well, and it's just a little bit more brand awareness. And they're great, mate. They're fantastic shorts, and we're going to bring them out instead of all our popular fin designs. Yeah, you can have a set of boardies in them too. You know, so
you've made big dog stopper floats as well in the past. You're still doing that?
We were the first. Well, again, another first for us. I come across this, it's called drop stitch material at a trade show one time, and they were using it to make airbeds out of. Yeah. I thought that'd make a great dive float. So I got the guys that are making these airbeds. I said, look, I need, do me 50 of these things. This is the design. And it wasn't long after that, I think I took them to one or two trade shows overseas, like dive shows, and showed them off. And other people seen, oh, shit, that's a great idea.
Ripped you off.
And they're starting to do them left, right and centre. But it's fantastic material to make floats out of.
Yeah.
And, there's still a few dog stoppers in existence.
Yeah.
Are
you still making them?
Not the real big ones. We make a smaller one now. It's like, I think 150 mil thick by 450 wide by a metre long. So they can run two of them. The bigger ones were a little bit more expensive, and the smaller
shipping's awful.
Yeah, the shipping was awful on them. And
kills everything.
The smaller ones are more user friendly for everyone.
Yeah, righto. Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to travel with an item like that. Like you can't travel internationally with them. That's a problem. Isn't it?
So you can deflate them. Some people fill them up with foam as well.
Yeah, righto.
Solid like blocks that sort of defeated the purpose.
Yeah. What else you got on the books? You still making spear gun barrels and spear guns occasionally?
I put a few odd ones together. We've got a barrel there that I don't really do spear guns.
Yeah,
it's not part of my repertoire. There's plenty of spear gun manufacturers I can point people to, but we put a few together for people, just for mates and stuff. Really, not part of our business. But wetsuits, dive bags, bit of apparel. Starting to look at different art options as well, like. One of our close friend of mine, and probably our main artist, Naomi Giddo, she does a lot of hand-painted one-off fins. You would have seen some of the designs and stuff around, and they're anything from 1,000 to a couple of thousand, depending on what the design is and how involved the artwork is. And some of that stuff is just incredible. People have got them up on the wall.
It's proper art.
They'll buy the original painting and a set of fins made from like a scan of the painting that we do, one-offs. And that's really a big part of our business is that one-off, like custom stuff. And we do it for, different artists and individuals if they've got a great idea. And
I think it's cool bringing art in, like proper art, that makes you think, makes you look, makes you pause, like I have a deep appreciation for it. And I think there are a lot of people that are like that, I like my workhorse fins, but I also like art too. So there's a spot there for it for sure.
A fusion between for performance materials and something that looks really good.
Yeah,
unique.
Like a motor vehicle or anything else. It's cool.
Guys, listen here. I've got to tell you about the Cob Grill. The main goodness, right? The Cob Grill is a portable outdoor cooker which is suited to any outdoor activity, from the bush to the boat. The grills come in either charcoal or gas options, and they're super economical on fuel due to the fact that minimal heat escapes with the lid on. They're windproof even with the lid on. You can use it out on the boat even as blowing a bit, Perfect for any outdoor adventure. Check it out at cobgrill.com.au. Use the code NoobSpeedo10 to save 10%. It's a no-brainer, my friend. These are the best grills if you're an outdoors person. Check it out, cobgrill.com.au. I consulted a bunch of legends to help me put together this program, including Adam Stern, Australian freediving legend, Jared Rosenberg from Earth and Ocean Fit, and Dr. Jaap Verbaas, author of Longer and Deeper, as well as a bunch of others to help me put together a 50-day program that will get you results. And I know it works. We've put a bunch of groups through this now, and people have seen huge improvements and landed on a charter or a trip and actually been able to tap into some of their best spearfishing fitness. Check it out at noobspearo.com/spearready. Jump in a 50-day program to make the most. If you are 2 months out from that trip of a lifetime, let me encourage you, get Spear Ready. Go to noobspearo.com/spearready. Sometimes the Noob Spearo almost has more information, more topics, more podcasts than you know what to do with. I'm here to help you connect in a really simple way, particularly if you are brand new. You need to subscribe to Noob Spearo's mad email newsletter. It's called The Floater. Go to noobspearo.com, head up into the menu community, head down to subscribe to The Floater, and start getting some goodness in your inbox right now. All good, my friends. Check it out, noobspearo.com, menu community, head down to subscribe to The Floater. I'll see you there. Ray, I'm conscious of your time. I have got 6 pages of notes here. As usual, I feel like I'm barely going to scratch the surface on it. I did want to ask you a couple more quick questions. Who's your favourite person, if you had to name one, to go spearfishing with, and why?
Favourite person to go spearfishing with and why? That's a tough one. Favourite
Your
person
brother?
to go spearing with?
What's your brother like?
He drives me crazy. But yeah, no, I like diving with grub. Probably mate of mine, Joe Burke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
Did
that
the
name.
charters with him for like 17 years in a row over in NZ.
Yeah.
I used to do a bit of pilot diving with him down the bottom end over there, and he's a good guy to dive with. You know, like he sort of has that sixth sense, good fish sense, and you can sort of rely on him to, back you up if the sharks get too bad. I used to actually use him as a guide over here just to poke sharks away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was his job.
Far
Come
out.
over, you have the burley, you have the little, spear gun, and stay out there and just keep the sharks off everyone.
Yeah. Dream fish. Have you still got one on the list?
God, shot most of them, but tunas are not really my thing, like if I see one and one comes around, I don't sort of like froth over them, like I don't want to go shoot a giant bluefin or anything.
Yeah,
yeah. You just had plenty of opportunities to shoot really big marlin, I shot one marlin. I might go shoot another one or like start targeting some stuff like way out.
This sounds like the
Blue
Jack
marlin
story.
Mango Jacks, so actually, those big ones that live out here, there's a few spots.
Yeah.
And everyone's got like a fish that they'd really probably like to get.
Yeah.
But just because I've seen so many of them and not been allowed to shoot them, probably big yellowtail kingfish.
Yeah, right.
I've had the world record yellowtail kingfish in front of me, within range, swim past me on like 24 occasions, I swear to God.
Wow.
And I've not been allowed to shoot them because I've been guiding, and we've had punters on board that really, want to get that big fish. And Joe and I used to have like a day off occasionally, and one of us would be in the water and we'd be able to shoot something. But we had a rule, like, until everyone had one,
You
we
can't.
weren't allowed to shoot one, and so many times off White Island and Lason's Reef in the Bay of Plenty there, I had like 50-kilo monsters like
Wow.
swimming around me, like time and time again.
I went out with Nat and Rochelle out to the Three Kings, and I've been spearing where they shot the world records.
Yeah.
And amazing place. Such a
The
cool.
guys just did a trip over there. They got a 38 kilo and a 43 kilo, I think, or 46
Yeah,
kilo.
I saw someone from down south with one like that.
I took one of your little mates here, my protege, buddy Lukey. He lives down South West Rocks now, and took him to New Zealand one year. He come over, and he got one 47 kilos.
So good.
Yeah, we're diving in dirty water, and at that stage or something, it was equal to the record.
Wow.
Bloody at White Island there.
So good. Can you describe what the spearfishing experience means to you in one sentence?
One sentence. The spearfishing experience. It attracts everyone from all walks of life. Whether you're a president, a prostitute, a criminal, a lawyer, every corner of the world and every gambit of personality type. It's the only sport I know that has such a broad spectrum of participants.
And for you personally now, what does it mean to you?
I've seen it expand and grow so much in the last 15 years, say. Some people, it's a way of life. I love seeing like younger guys that are just starting to like froth over getting their first brim or their biggest bloody blue moong or whatever, I think competitive wise, competition scene wise, I think things are in the pipeline to change. And I think, drivers of the sport like yourself of a podcast are important, As we know, print media is pretty well dead, although I can foresee a comeback of it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because, a lot of people have been asking for it.
Yeah.
And I think the 5 minutes or 15 minutes of fame on Instagram just doesn't cut it anymore. Someone wants their photo in a magazine on a piece of paper that is going to stay on the coffee table, and you're going to have. I got magazines from 30, 40 years ago.
Me too.
They're still there.
Yeah, no, they're awesome. And you just get a bit more out. Like there's a story. There's
Yeah, you can pick it up 15 years later again. Go back through it and have a look. And go, oh wow,
you get more of a sense of the whole situation because a lot of these dream fish are taken on a week-long trip. And it's as much about the people you're with and the place you're in. And, there's so much. And the magazines did such a good job of capturing that. I miss that too.
Yep.
And I think it served a lot of people like DiveR as well.
And a lot of brands that started off with that backing of having an advertorial space in a magazine. There's a lot of them that you don't see today because they don't have that social media traction. I guess DiveR was lucky that when I started to make fins and fins become artistic and they were good to look at, they were great for photos. And everyone wants a photo of something nice, whether it's, nice set of fins, good fish, girl in a bikini. And it's been told to me time and time again by heaps of different chicks and women, oh, mate, your fins are pivotal to why I started diving.
Yeah.
I've got something that I can, buy, purchase, get another design. I can wear that when I'm in the coral. I wear this one when I'm down south in the kelp.
Yeah.
They become like a bit of a fashion item.
Yeah. Well, they are. And then you got us blokes that just often treat them like workhorses. And
give me a black one.
Yeah.
Oh, black. Oh, you don't do black. What? You don't do black? Yeah, black.
Gunmetal grey.
Black.
No, all good, Ray. Where can people find you? DiveR Australia?
DiveR Australia, diver.com, Diver Fins.
Was there anything we missed today that you wanted to mention?
No, not really. Just enjoy your diving.
Yeah.
It's not about going deeper and longer and breath hold and all the rest of it. It's about learning about where fish live and, your mates and that journey to get there, whether you hop in the water or not,
Yeah.
Many times I've gone somewhere turned around, come home because it's too dirty. And it seems to be the theme of things lately, especially here, with the amount of rain and stuff we've had.
Yeah, good for the fishery though.
Soon.
Good for the fishery though.
Yep, bit of a rest.
Well, all good. Well, thanks.
Out of the water down here.
I haven't done a lot of tweed diving, but thanks so much for coming on the show, Ray. It's been a long while in the making, and hopefully I'll have you back on again at some stage in the future.
Definitely.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that interview today with Ray Powell, a really talented guy and an awesome brand. It's a very well-known brand in the spearfishing world, but still run by just a regular everyday spearo who absolutely froths on the lifestyle, as you would have picked up on today. He's very kind of low-key sort of dude, he's not like high energy in a conversation like this, but I see this as sort of part one. To be honest, when I did the interview, I'd already done 2 in the morning, and I feel like I had 7 pages of notes to talk to Ray about, and I probably only got to 2 of those pages, so he'll come back on the show at some stage in the near future for sure. Very clever, very cool guy, and great to catch up with him in person again. Like a lot of the people in the sport, just one of the most generous people going. And so go and chuck a follow, DiveR, join them on their socials. If you haven't got a set of their fins and you're looking and you're in the market, highly recommend. Very cool guy. Hey, again, I mentioned at the start of the episode, PNG 2026 in May. It's coming up. Tim McDonald, Tom Sandstrom joining me in the remote and idyllic location of PNG. We're staying at one of the safest places in PNG. It's where the Australian Federal Police stay. Very well regarded beach resort in Rabaul, and we've got 3 different vessels, including a liveaboard, a mid-range dive boat, and then center consoles with a 150. So we're pretty spoilt with regards to what we've got on offer out there, and who knows what we're going to encounter. But as usual, on every Noob Sparrow trip, it's great to be surrounded by like-minded legends and frothers there for the no ego vibe. So hey, check it out, spearfishingcourses.com.au. As usual, guys, thanks for sharing the love. Had 5 patrons jump on in the last few weeks. I don't know if it was as a result of episode 300, but I really appreciate you guys in the community just sharing the word, getting this podcast out there, keeping it growing. Got people like Sam the Waterman helping with socials at the moment and just contributing massively to the ideas that are going into the show. So look out for some new stuff happening in 2025. Also, Brandon, who edits every episode from over in Cape Town. He does a really good job and makes this show what it is. And Livia helping on the back end with support. Again, just a massive thanks to the people around me and in the Noob Sparrow making this thing what it is. And thank you to you guys powering it. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Noob Sparrow. But hey, that's it for me. Over and out. Bringing another. Let's do another 300 Noob Sparrow podcast episodes. Hey guys, this episode brought to you by Astard Roller Pole Spears. Astard is a brand rooted in craftsmanship and tradition, inspired by the Japanese freedivers, the Armour. Check them out at astard.co. They have a roller pole spear that will make your head spin. I'll give you the hot tip. Check it out at astard.co. Use the code NoobSparrow. Have free shipping anywhere on the planet. You can't get any better than that. Go to astard.co. Check out their roller pole spear. You need one in your arsenal today. Check it out. Use the code NoobSparrow for free shipping anywhere in the world. Some days when you've maybe shot those 4 or 5 fish that you came for, might be time to pull out the pole spear, jump back in and rediscover that passion and learning that you had right at the start of your journey. This is one of the best tools for becoming a better hunter. Check it out, astard.co. Are you US based, looking for freediving, spearfishing gear? Neptonics is the best. Their online website's so easy to use. If you've got any questions, Jerry and the team answer questions via phone, email. Anyway, they've got an easy contact form on the site. These guys are absolute legends, and if they sell it, they believe in it, they back it, they use it themselves. It's tough gear that works. Visit neptonics.com. Use the code NOOB10 to save 10% on any order at neptonics.com. That's right, use the code NOOB10, N-O-O-B 10 on your next order. Save 10% at neptonics.com. Shop with the world's largest dive store, Adreno. Live it and breathe it with frothers just like you, in-store or online at adreno.com.au. Huge range of equipment, always growing, always changing. They are the world's largest dive store. They are available just about everywhere. They have hassle-free returns, massive range of equipment, price match guarantee, and you can check them out online. You can even use the code NoobSparrow to save $20 on every purchase over $200 at adreno.com.au.